Are you looking for better health but feel a little overwhelmed with it all, thinking there might be something missing? Maybe you're looking for action steps to take that get to the real root of the issue and actually move the needle in your health. Here on the Cornerstone Integrative Healing podcast, we will share the link between our physical, emotional, and spiritual health, all while pointing you to the one and only true healer, Jesus. I'm Carrie Cootie, your co-host. As a pharmacist turned integrative health practitioner, I spent 20 years in the traditional healthcare world, and it was definitely long enough to know there's a huge need for preventative healthcare and holistic healing. I'm excited to have conversations around these topics with my co-host and friend, Jen.
Hey, I'm Jen Patriarca. God gave me this desire to help others with natural healing a long time ago. With more than 20 years of experience in the functional nutrition field, God decided it was time to join forces. Carrie and I are colleagues turned faithful partners in this mission God has put on our hearts. A mission for true healing, one that encompasses an integrative approach. With Jesus taking the lead, our aim is to point you toward Him as we help you peel back the layers. Through conversations, you can expect straightforward information on holistic health topics that include physical, emotional, and spiritual action steps that will create real change in your health, and honest conversations around the ups and downs that can come with healing. It's time to have joy in your life again and the energy to do all that God has called you to. Be sure to subscribe for new episodes every Monday.
Hey guys, it's Carrie and Jen here back for another episode in the new series that we are doing all about the emotion-organ connection explained. So we've kind of been in the first few episodes of season 2, we've talked about this concept loosely. And then in the episode that we used to kick off this series, we kind of gave you a really great overview. So if you're just this is your first episode, welcome, but you might want to go back and listen to a couple of previous episodes to get a good grasp on this series and kind of what we're going to dive into. But in this episode, we are just going to look at the link of the liver and maybe being constantly irritated, like what they have in common. And so I thought it would be good to just kind of first start off with like, what does our liver do and why is it such an important organ? Jen, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So our liver is kind of the basis for the whole chemistry of the body. It really does support most of the chemistry of the body. And so a lot of women come to us and they're having PMS or menstrual symptoms, whether it's heavy periods or clotting, cramping, headaches, migraines. And the first thing that we always think of when we hear some of those symptoms are liver. Am I right, Carrie?
Yes, definitely. I mean, there's probably not anybody that I see that couldn't work on their liver health, to be honest.
Absolutely. Well, and that's because the liver does so much, right?
Yes.
So the liver is responsible, of course, for detoxifying. That's how we detoxify a lot of our heavy metals or chemicals like pesticides, BPA, or whatever's in the environment, or maybe our food's packaged in.
Mm-hmm.
So it plays a really key role in helping us detox. It's probably the main detox organ. It makes bile. So, we need to break down and digest fats, and we do that with bile. Bile keeps our gut super healthy. It's literally a disinfectant for the gut, but we store it in the gallbladder. Most people are aware that we, need the gallbladder to work, but they don't know that the bile is actually made in the liver. Mm-hmm. Which is key. So really important for women because we need to detox estrogen and those hormones. Yeah. So that's just another big piece that I think a lot of women, maybe their gallbladder is functioning okay, but they're not making the bile like they should be, or the bile is not getting to the gallbladder like it needs to be released 90 minutes after the meal.
Yeah.
So and because the liver does so much of the work, also stored glucose. This is probably not something you think about. So it contains something called glycogen. And so when our blood sugar gets too low, the the adrenals are alerted, and the adrenals release something called cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And cortisol alerts the liver like, look, there's a stressor and we need to make sure there's enough blood glucose. And so, the liver will release stored glucose, which is glycogen, to help make sure that we always have blood glucose available. So if you're waking in the middle of the night between 1 and 3 a.m., it's usually a liver problem, sometimes related to detox, sometimes related to blood sugar, maybe both. So blood sugar, is a huge thing. You'll hear Carrie and I talk a lot about maintaining blood sugar and making sure your meals are balanced and eating consistently. And this is because it takes a huge stressor off the body. But anyway, that's another really big piece of the liver. Carrie, do you have anything? Those are the major ones. Of course, the liver
definitely.
does a ton more.
Yeah. I mean, I just think about it. A lot of times it's the rate limiting step in what the symptoms that are going on. It's really, a lot of it can be traced back to the liver. And I think it's just because, for a lot of the reasons you said, it's like, okay, we are exposed to more things in the world that we live in today, like as far as just chemicals and toxins and things like that. I mean, we can try to live as non-toxic as we want to, but yet we're still exposed to things. And then we also have a lot more stress, which the whole cortisol thing that Jen just described, it's like a both and situation. That's why so many women that come are having issues that relate back to the liver, because it is very overloaded. And then we're going to kind of talk about the emotional component to it. That adds a whole other level. So
right.
The liver kind of takes a hard hit.
Yes, for sure. Because liver is connected to anger. And I think a lot of us can relate to being irritable, right? And that's probably a symptom we hear the most, especially from women, is irritability. And now look, this can stem from a lot of things, but in traditional Chinese medicine, which we're going to link a lot of these organs for you and sort of explain, we didn't come up with this, obviously. This is something that's long been established for thousands of years, but these specific organs have emotional connections. And for the liver, it is anger and irritability.
Yeah. And so I just think about, when I hear the word anger, sometimes I'm like, I don't necessarily know if I feel angry, but I can definitely feel frustrated at times, and I can definitely feel irritated at times. And like you said, Jen, anger is kind of a cover for other emotions. So do you want to talk about your experience with that maybe, and your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, anger, at least, through a therapist perspective, will tell you that anger is kind of a mask for another emotion. And I know personally, as I was really digging into my emotions and kind of peeling back the layers, as Carrie has talked about in the past, is that there was other things under the anger, and there was resentment, there was sadness, there was fear.
Yeah.
And so anger might not be the first emotion. It's usually not. It's usually a cover for some of those other emotions. And for me, one of my big things was fear. It was a cover for fear.
Yeah.
So in the next episode, I'll talk a little bit just, more about that. But I on the emotional side, the liver is connected, as we said, to the anger. And when there's, anger, or, maybe some underlying irritability or frustration, it can affect the liver physically. And so if you're having those symptoms that I mentioned in the beginning, chronic headaches, migraines, maybe PMS, or heavy cycles, which relate back to the liver, you have to look at the emotional side also.
Yeah. So that's kind of maybe a good overview for you as far as like what the liver does and how these emotions can kind of play into it. So we wanted to just give you some practical ways that you could support the liver as far as just, maybe nutrition. And we wanted to just help you to be able to support it from 2 different angles, really 3 different angles, right? We're all about the integrative approach, which to us means physical, emotional, spiritual. So we wanted to, in these episodes in this series, really give you some good practical ways that you could support these things in all 3 ways.
Right. And this is, we don't want to say that this is a fix-all by any stretch of the imagination, but rather just some suggestions that could support in general.
And And this is where working with someone one-on-one is really key. Like, we don't want to just give you these recommendations and these are the only things that you do and this is where you stop. It might be a good starting point. It would probably be not a great stopping point. It's like, if you want to keep peeling back the layers, oftentimes you do need some help in looking at your situation from a different perspective because you're just so close to it. So we do work with people one-on-one, and we'll definitely make sure that that information is in the show notes in the description of this video so that you can check out to see if it might be a good fit for you and it might be good timing.
Right. And we do that too, because, Carrie says that because we have some experience with, well, first of all, both of us have experienced it and have really, and by no stretch do we know it all by any stretch. No. I think we're teaching as we go through this, right, Carrie? We're seeing these observations with ourselves. But I think sometimes when you do some of the physical things for the organ, in this case, we're talking about the liver, sometimes it helps to move the emotion or stir the emotion or make you aware of the emotion.
Right.
And so sometimes that's a good starting point, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes you need to start with the emotion and then, work to support the physical.
And I think it's really important to walk alongside the Holy Spirit with this, right? I think that's so important with anything we do, and that goes for our health. In all aspects, right? It's not just our spiritual health that we need to walk alongside the Holy Spirit, right? It's our physical health and our emotional health. Like, he is our helper, but we have to let him help. And we can't necessarily, we don't want you to just look to what we're saying and take our advice as the gospel. It's certainly not. We want to point you to the one and only true healer. So Please hear us when we say that.
Yes, for sure. So let's start maybe with the physical, Carrie, and we can sort of move through. So some of the things that you can use, of course, for the physical are castor oil packs, which is a really simple, pretty inexpensive way to support detoxification and lymphatic movement with the liver. And we can put that in the show notes also, a good source to get some organic castor oil in a pack. But I have to be honest, sometimes I'll just literally, rub on the castor oil and
do that too.
An old t-shirt.
There you go. Don't make it complicated, right?
Right.
I do have a whole blog post with all the benefits of castor oil and how to do it and like all the things. So I'll definitely include that. But for sake of time, we're not going to deep dive into any one specific thing. So if you want more information, you want to look at purchasing one, we'll provide that for you.
Absolutely. And then there's just some basic support to help the liver regenerate, to help with detox. I love the product Liviplex because it does all of those things in one. It's a food-based supplement that contains a protomorphogen. So what is that? That just means that it helps the cell or the organ regenerate and repair. It contains beet leaf and beetroot, what helps to thin the bile. It's a great source of trimethylglycine, which helps with detox, bile production, and just an overall good basic support for the liver. On a daily basis, because it doesn't push detox too much. It's not just repair. It really is an overall product.
Yeah, I love that. So those two things are just, some overall good supports that you could look at. And then just for the emotional, we have a whole free resource on like how you can use essential oils and EFT with just moving through emotions. And so I just wanted to point out, that will be in the show notes as well. So you can check that out if you want to. But Forgive oil is a blend that is just really good for helping you to do what it says, right? To forgive. And so a lot of times anger is because you maybe do have that sense of unforgiveness for maybe someone or something in your life. And so Forgive would be a good blend of oils to use. It's very piney, and a lot of the oils that are made from like tree oils are really grounding. And so sometimes it's like when we have anger and we have this emotion, we kind of feel out of control almost, like it's just, I think that really does help to bring you to the moment and to help you to be able to work through it. Kind of, we we say it helps soften the soil. Oils do, and to help you move through emotions. And so obviously that would be coupled with prayer and just really digging in and walking along with the Holy Spirit, of course. But Forgive oil is great for that. You can just, you could apply it to your liver topically. You could put it in your hands and just inhale it. There's several different ways you can use it, but we do have more information in that free resource for you. So I'm definitely going to include that.
Yeah. And then we just wanted to leave you with a verse, right?
Yes.
Maybe something that you can pray with. Of course, just speaking to the spiritual side now, we, of course, Carrie said to pray, but maybe something specific to leave you with. And I think it's important to acknowledge that we all have these emotions, right? And we don't want to deny the emotions because we have them. We're human. It's a matter of acknowledging the emotion and sometimes repenting if we need to, and surrendering, but also working through the emotion. There's something in that emotion for us, positive or negative. And so we just really encourage you in your prayer time that, you dig in with God with this emotion. And we'll just leave you with this verse. It's Ecclesiastes 7, verse 9. And it says, "Do not be quickly provoked in your spirit, for anger resides in the lap of fools." Yeah. So with that, we just know that we're praying for you guys always. And if there's something specific that we can pray for you, please reach out. We would love to hear from you.
Yes, for sure. And one last thing, we are just really wanting to see how we can encourage you and just, constantly point you back to Him. So there is an encouragement from the Word in our weekly newsletter. So if you're not a part of that, you can join. We'll have the link in the show notes in the description of this video so that you can just, be encouraged weekly. You can kind of stay in the know of what we're doing. And we'd love for you to follow us along there. And it's an easy way to reply too. We always check the responses and we can have a conversation with you guys. That's really what we love, right? We're having a conversation with each other, but we would really love to have a conversation with you. So please reach out if, like Jen said, if you have thoughts about this or questions, or if we can just pray for you, we would love to do that. That will be our honor. So we just are excited to continue to just dig through this series and just hopefully help you to look at things in maybe a different light and always to just point you to Him. So we're super glad that you're here, and we'll see you on the next episode.